What's up, YouTube? Back again with another new video, and this time I actually wanted to try something a little bit different, and I wanted to talk about dealer markup. Now, a lot of you guys know there are a lot of higher end performance cars that receive a markup from MSRP at the dealerships, and usually that's kind of, or at least in the past, the cars that were heavily marked up were only cars that were seen as future collectibles or something with a limited production number. But nowadays you have cars being inflated double in price, and they're not even to any extent going to be very rare or collectible cars, at least for the most part, due in fact to maybe high production numbers or something else. So I wanted to kind of, go on cars.com and see what current performance cars of 2016 and 2017 model years were being inflated to like ridiculous prices. And these were the three that I decided to put in this list. And coming in at number 3, we have the Ford Focus RS. Base price is somewhat under $40,000 if I remember correctly, and a fully optioned one that I built on the Build Your Own Focus RS on Ford's website said that it would come in at just under $45,000. But if you look on cars.com, it seems like all of them are averaging somewhere along the line of between $50,000 and $60,000 for a Ford hatchback. To me, it makes no sense. I mean, at that point, you're looking at used F80 M3 money. And it's funny because a lot of these Focus RSs that are in the $50,000 to $60,000 price range aren't even fully optioned RSs. They have the standard wheels and they have the Pilot Super Sports as opposed to the Cup 2s. Now, I'm sure the Focus RS is an amazing car, but for $60,000, I feel like, I know I'm sounding a bit kind of rude here, but you kind of have to be a complete idiot to pay $60,000 for a Ford Focus RS. I mean, is it really that much better than an STI? Probably not. So I'm not entirely sure if people are paying the 50 or 60, or if that's just dealers reaching, trying to see if they can actually get somebody to pay that. If they do, then I mean, good on them. They're making a lot of extra money for their dealership. But I just think these, like the Focus RS is supposed to be, a performance car that people can afford, kind of like the STI Evo, the Mustang GT, the Camaro SS. But at $60,000, it kind of surpasses being affordable for people in their mid-20s, at least for the most part. And on top of that, it is not a limited production vehicle. They will be making these for the next few years. So in my opinion, you guys should just wait. If you really want a Focus RS, maybe wait until late 2017 when the hype kind of dies down. And moving on to number 2, the BMW M2. Now that's a car I was actually really excited about once it was announced, and it seems like a lot of journalists prefer the M2 to the M4, which is kind of crazy in my opinion, because I believe the M2 MSRP is somewhere at around $51,000, and at that price it seems pretty reasonable, right? Even though that'd probably be like a stripper M2 with no options. But I think I did a fully loaded one on BMW's Build Your Own M2 on their website for just under $70. I'm gonna actually have to go back and check, but yeah, it was a fully optioned M2 with all the bells and whistles, and it was still, pretty reasonable. It was in the 70s, but still, I mean, it's an M2. It had every single option you could possibly imagine, and I was thinking, oh, maybe these cars aren't seeing as big of a price spike as some of the other cars, because it also is not a limited production car. So maybe, it'll be 80 grand for a fully loaded one or something like that. So I go on searching, and I believe there's one in California for upwards of $102,000. $102,000. You're looking at, you can get so much more car for the money. Like, you could get an M5 that's lightly used, fully optioned. You could get so much more for $100,000, and I just don't see why anyone would bother to actually pay that kind of insane dealer markup. Either you have too much money for your own good, little to no sense on how much the car is actually worth, or I don't know. I mean, I couldn't really honestly justify the means to pay $100,000 for the entry-level M car. I mean, if you guys think that you would pay $100,000 plus for an M2, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I just don't think that's really justifiable, considering that's kind of you stepping on what, like kind of base spec M6 money at that point. So yeah, I think that's pretty crazy, and I think the dealer's actually selling two M2s upwards of $100,000. And I went through the vehicle description, and it doesn't really seem like it's justifiable by any means, but you never know. They might convince that one old guy who maybe really isn't, maybe like he's just looking for a nice car, but isn't fully aware of what it's actually worth, because that's what a lot of these dealers do. I mean, they mark the cars up so high, and they usually try and look for the person with the most money but the least knowledge. I mean, at least that's what I've personally noticed. It's really easy to convince somebody that the car is more rare than it actually is. And now, moving on to a car that is somewhat limited production, at least for now, the Shelby GT350R. I really like this car as well. All three of these cars on this list are cars that I would definitely want in my garage, but I believe the GT350R was actually supposed to MSRP at under 70 grand, even fully loaded. I know I did build one on Ford's website, and I believe it was still under $75,000. I will put pictures of this right here, but it seems like the average going price for the GT350Rs is roughly about $115,000. Now, I know at the end of 2015, as a 2016 model year, I believe, they made less than 200 GT350Rs, and correct me if I'm wrong, any of you who are actually in the know, as of right now, October 2016, they have made 1,000 or so GT350Rs. As once again, I'm not entirely sure. I know it was ranging from anywhere between 500 to 1,000 units, and I know they made quite a bit more GT350s due to the fact that there's currently a recall for like a leaky oil line or something like that. But anyway, yeah, that's like an insane price hike. That once again is also double what a fully loaded R should cost. $115,000 for a new Mustang. Now, I know a lot of you are gonna be like, oh, but it's the fastest muscle car around the Nürburgring, but it's not, because maybe you guys have seen the new ZL1's lap time with the 10-speed automatic. It beat the R's time by about 3 seconds, and the ZL1 isn't even the track car. That's more of the Hellcat competitor, is what the ZL1 is. The new Z28 is probably going to completely dust the R's time on the Nürburgring, at least in my personal opinion, and seeing that the ZL1 was able to do the same. Now, there are rumors of a GT350R with a dual clutch transmission in the works. I'm not sure if there will be a horsepower bump when that happens, but I want to know if you think the ZL1's new lap time is potentially going to affect the R's dealer markup price. I made a little joke about it on my Instagram that Ford dealers need to knock the R's price down because it didn't even beat the ZL1 around the Nürburgring, as of now, of course. Maybe I know the GT500 is also coming soon, but I can only imagine how much that's going to be marked up in price. I'm assuming by double is at least my estimate, just basing it on what Ford's currently doing. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Would you guys pay the dealer markup for any of these three cars? Do you think it's justifiable by any means? I guess you can make a case for the GT350R, considering that it does have much lower production numbers than the Focus RS and the BMW M2, which are made in far greater numbers. So yeah, make sure to leave a comment below. Let me know which one of these three you guys would want in your garage, and yeah, we'll keep the ball rolling on new videos. I have plenty more ideas, and hopefully I'll be able to film those ideas pretty soon. So thank you so much for watching, and peace out, YouTube.